Hey gang, Private Jack here. I said that we were going to rig up the model in this segment, but I think I'm going to change my mind here. I think what we're going to do is actually texture this thing and get it ready for painted and get the UVs laid out. So here we are. We've added modifiers to our butterfly. We've sealed off any open ends, and it looks like it's ready to pretty much go here. One of the things I'm going to do now is I'm going to actually apply the modifiers. So in top view, what I'm going to do is I'm going to select the objects and I'm going to apply these modifiers. Okay, so head, this one only has a mirror, this one only has a mirror. The wings, however, have two. And I'm going to apply the solidify first, and you're going to get this error where applied modifier may not have happened the way that you expected it to. Don't worry about it in this particular model. However, if you're concerned, what you can do is actually go in and actually have a look at the model itself and determine whether or not the thing actually applied the way you wanted it to. And then once I've got that applied, I'm going to apply the mirror. Top wing, apply the solidify first. Modifier was not first and the result may be different. What it's telling you is you should start at the first modifier and apply it and then carry on from there. Okay, so now this model is separate objects and the actual mirror side of the mesh is now real mesh. Okay, so I'm going to texture this thing up. First thing I'm going to do is go into object mode. And now that I have all mesh, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to select the body here, select all the mesh in the body, and see if there are any doubles. There shouldn't be. These should have sealed together. These should be complete edge loops, and because of the way that we actually merged the mirrors the way that we merge the mirrors. Same thing for the head. I'm going to select the head and I'm going to select all the mesh and I'm just going to remove any doubles. No doubles, that's good. And again, this whole thing should be individual edge loops that are selectable and go all the way around them. Wow, of course. Make a liar out of me. I think that's normal for a sphere. Each side is its own. Yeah, okay. We're not going to be doing any more editing to the model, I don't think. Anyway, so now what we're going, other than to cut out the actual UVs. And because this model is pretty simple, I'm going to show you a method that I'm going to use. I'm going to go into wireframe mode, select the head, make sure that all this mesh is within the actual texture. Might have to shrink this down just a little bit more. I'm still on the medium point, and now my medium point is in the center of the actual head because of the fact that it's all one mesh now. Blow that up just a little bit more, grab it and pull it off to the right a little bit so that everything is embedded in that particular mesh, or in that particular texture. The antenna look all right. They're completely wrapped. My body needs to be fine-tuned. So I'm going to select the body now. And this is why I'm still in individual objects for the various parts. I'm going to scale this one in just a tad so that it flows into the neck. Maybe add an edge loop here. Control R. Like that. Scale that out just a little bit, not too much. Like that. This one here I'm going to pull in a little bit, scale it in. Like that. Same with this one, I'm going to scale it in a little bit. What I want is the body completely encased in this brown texture. Scale this in a bit. Now I notice that I've managed to clip out the wings a little bit, and I'm going to have to fix that. Scale that. Pull it in. Like that. This one. I don't want any of this orange and brown from the wing on the actual body. Pull that in a bit. Pull this one in. That. And because I moved that head off to the right a little bit, I'm going to do the same thing with the body here. Now, this particular edge loop, I think what I want to do with this is I want to slide it back towards this way a little bit. So I'm going to use an edge slide. And I'm just going to pull that back probably about there and scale that in. Now we're starting to see where the actual image is out of symmetry. Come down here into the tail. Maybe grab that edge loop, pull it in just a tad. Actually, let's grab all of them. Seven. This one here, I'm going to put my cursor on here. So I'm going to just hover over that vertex and press the left mouse button. Like that. I'm going to change my pivot point to 3D cursor. And I'm going to scale that kind of like this, and that's going to add that little bit of taper that I like, that I want in that tail. A little more. I want it really solid in color, kind of like that. Okay, now I'm going to select that whole body, pressing A so that I've got everything selected. I'm going to move the cursor back to center, and I'm just going to pull that whole body off to the right just a little bit. Kind of like that. Go through, have another look. That edge loop. Change my pivot point back to the median. Scale that in just a tad. Not much. Because I did that, I got to fix the taper. Now, if you hold the shift key down while you're scaling, you can slow the actual rate of scale down. Scale without the shift key is rather quick. scale with the shift key. It just moves a little bit. Kind of like that. I think that's good. Now for the wings. Oops, because I don't have the mirror on anymore, and I've actually applied the solidify, I have to be careful now. If I make any changes to the left side, I now have to select the mesh, the opposing mesh on the right side, and do the same thing. Okay, so 7. Got the medium point selected. Pull that just down just a tad, like this. And let's have a look at the actual just want to pull that. I have to select both. To select both, I see through the model in wireframe mode. If I was in solid mode, there's a little button down here. Now, this gives me a better representation of what I'm looking at. So that body needs to come back to the right, to the left just a tad. Like maybe there. Now there's a little button down here in edit mode when you have the thing in solid view right here. This button here allows you to turn on and off being able to see through the model so that you can select vertexes on both sides of a solid mesh. If it's turned off, you can't see how I can't see that vertex anymore. If I turn it on, I can see the vertexes and I can select them. So back into 7, grab both of those, that one's okay, that one's okay, both of those, pull them into the body. Kind of like that. Just to make things a little more clean, I'm just going to select these guys and pull them in as well. Okay, now that we've got that done, let's get the UV set up. Up here there's a little, looks like a perforated edge on the corner of the screen. If you hover your mouse over it and it turns into that plus sign, hold down the left mouse button and pull it off to the side and you split your screen. Okay? In this split screen, what we're going to do is we're going to load up the UV image editor, just like that. Now, I could sit here and I could slice and dice and cut this model up into various pieces so that I would have to texture the entire model. To save time, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you a quick method of unwrapping this model in such a manner that we can actually use the texture that we already have. Okay, I had to stop the video. Now I've completely lost my train of thought because of a phone call. Anyway, let's see if we can pick up where we left off. Okay, now that we have this, oh yeah, right, I was talking about slice and dicing. I can slice and dice this model up so that I can lay out UVs all over the place and actually have to color them individually. But because this is such a simple model and we already have a texture, what I think I'll do is use one of the unwrapping modes that are available in Blender and actually do this. I'm going to come down here. I'm going to come over to my materials tab. And let's see, before I do this, what I think I'll do is actually merge all of these objects now into one object. So I'm going to select the bottom wings. I'm going to select the top wings. I'm going to select the antenna, the head, and lastly, I'm going to select the body. And the way I'm doing this is I'm holding down the shift key and pressing the right mouse button. Once those are done, I'm going to come over here into my tools panel and select join. This model is now all one object. And I can confirm that by having a look over here, and I see that this is now cylinder. Before I did this, I've done it again. Before I did this, I'm going to Control Z to back out of that so that these are all individual objects again. And I'm going to do my file save as. Save as, increment, plus, save. Now I'm going to select the top wing, hold down the shift key, and use the right mouse button, not the right mouse button, but the right one. Select the bottom wing, select the antenna, select the head, select the body, so the body's the last object that's selected, and hit my join button. Now this object is all one, this butterfly is all one object. Okay, now that it's one object, I'm going to come over here into the Materials tab, select that, click New, and this will add a material to the butterfly. I'm going to rename this material Butterfly because that's what I want to have to call my texture in Source FilmMaker. Snap that, and we're good to go. Over here now, I'm going to select the Textures property panel. I'm going to select New, and I'm going to open up that 1K 1024 by 1024 ping file that I had in my butterfly folder. So I'm going to open that. Down here, I'm going to make sure that it's color 100%. And now I'm going to open that in the image editor. So there's my 1K texture. Image. Invert. No. We have a slight problem because what I want to do now is I want to actually lay out my UV so that it completely encompasses this particular texture. But it's not a problem. With my butterfly in this position, I'm going to go into edit mode, tab. I'm going to select all the vertices. I'm going to press U to unwrap, and down here there's an unwrap function called project from view. I'm going to click that, and what's going to happen is this entire butterfly is going to unwrap as if it was like just looking down on the top of it. This is all the mesh for this butterfly, and because the top and bottom of the actual butterfly are the same color and the wings are the same color on top and bottom, this is good. But my butterfly is upside down. How do I fix that? Well, I come in here to the image editor, hold my cursor over that, and I hit R to rotate, and in the numbers above the Q, W, E, R, T, Y keys of the keyboard, I type in 180, and that will rotate my butterfly by 180 degrees. Now you're going to say, okay, so the butterfly is like really small. How do I fix it? Well, again, covering over the image editor, I press S to scale, and because it's the medium point, I can pull the whole butterfly out. Once I get it to about where I want it to be, all I have to do now is use the G button to grab it and pull it onto the actual texture. Right about there. And now I just scale it into position. Scale. And if I find that things aren't moving to where I really want them, I can actually pick up the vertices here and start moving them around. This particular case, I'm going to grab on the y-axis. This is a 2D picture, so there's only two axes. Y is up and down. I'm going to pull that up a little bit, like that, and have a look. And now maybe what I want to do is scale it a little bit on the x-axis. So scale, press S on the X, and I hold down the shift key and I pull that out a little bit. I want to make sure all my vertices are being covered by texture, and it looks like it is. And now what I can do over here with my cursor over top of the butterfly in the 3D viewer is come down here in texture mode or solid mode. I can turn on textured solids if I can find it. I always have a problem locating this. Textured solids. Tab out of object mode, and I can see I've got a little bit of a, no, not really, it looks like that's good. And if I flip it over to the bottom side, I have a textured butterfly. Now, this is good enough for the tutorial. You could go through and you could edit the actual layout. You like come in here and say, okay, the wings are not where they need to be. You can scale this out and make it a little bit fatter. But for the demonstration purpose here, I think this is good enough for what I need to do. So this now has this entire butterfly textured using the top and bottom vertices. Okay, if I came in here and select one, this would be the top vertice, I believe. Grab it just to move it around a little bit. No, probably the bottom 7. Let's grab the other one. Grab. Nothing moving there. Let's flip it over. Control 7. And I grab that vertice and I grab it. See down here on the bottom right side, that whole area is moving. And here's the top vertice here. 7 to go into top mode. Grab. See how it's moving up in the top right or top left hand corner there. Okay, let's put this back together again. Control Z, Control Z, Control Z. And now my butterfly is back together again, and it's looking not too bad. So that's texturing a butterfly using project from view mode. And because we can use that mode because the top and bottom of the butterfly are pretty much the same. Now, if you have real bad, if you use this mode and you have separate textures on the side of the butterfly or on the, like, say, the ridges of the wings, then you would actually have to unwrap the whole darn thing and do it the hard way. But with that, texturing a butterfly using project from view, that's pretty much it. So I'm going to close this video off and say private jack out.